Hi, I'm Phil Brock. This is Brock and Your Block, and today, well, we're not really at the Pacific Wheel. We're going to explore the Santa Monica History Museum and the 141st anniversary of Santa Monica's birth. Happy birthday, Santa Monica! There are so many amazing exhibits to see, and I've enlisted the help of an expert from the Santa Monica History Museum. Kathryn Evans, so nice to see you, and so nice of you to give me a tour of the History Museum.
It's so great to have you here, Phil.
So Santa Monica was founded
41 years ago. July 15th, 1875 was the original lot sale when the public could buy the first lots available to people outside of the original rancho system.
So if you and I were here in 1875 and going shopping for a new plot of land opposite Santa Monica Beach, how much would that have cost us?
So in 1875, an Ocean View lot would have cost you $500, which today is about $11,000 if you adjust for inflation.
So still a bargain.
Pretty good deal, a pretty good deal.
And on 4th Street?
So inland lots went for $75 in 1875, which is the modern equivalent of about $1,600. So an even better deal.
So the price of a really good TV or a nice little vacation down to Cabo, you could have had oceanfront property in Santa Monica.
Right. For the cost of a few nights in some of our five-star hotels, you could have owned the land the hotel was built on.
This is true. And you know, what's interesting though is it is the founding of our city, but Colonel Baker and Senator Jones were not the first people to live here.
No, there have been people in the Santa Monica Bay Area for a very, very long time. And so the earliest people that we have records of are called the Tongva people. They were a group of Native Americans who lived in this area and also in the islands just off the coast. And so after them came the Spanish. And then the Spanish set up the ranchero system, which a lot of people hear about in school, which then eventually turned into these big families that owned a lot of land and auctioned them off to the public to start cities like Santa Monica.
And to honor the Tongva, we named our new park in Santa Monica Tongva Park 3 years ago.
Exactly. So that's a great way to be able to engage with that aspect of the city's history because it is really close to the water. It is really close to where these people would have lived and would have been doing their day-to-day activities.
And the rancho that encompassed the area we're staying on now was called?
So there were 3 ranchos that encompassed the area of Santa Monica, but one of the largest was the Boca de Santa Monica Rancho, which encompassed the northern and western half of the city.
So Rancho Boca de Santa Monica, and it was the Marquez family?
Yes, the Marquez and Reyes families that owned the land, and so they were the original ranchers, big in cattle, that originally farmed this area.
And my Spanish teacher at Santa Monica High School when I was a junior was named Forrest Freed, and Forrest was a descendant of the family. I understand his ashes are scattered in the family graveyard in Santa Monica Canyon. I didn't learn very much Spanish from him, but I learned so much about Santa Monica history from him. And Arcadia Bandini de Baker.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about her, because she's important to Santa Monica history too.
She is. She's a native Californian, originally from the San Diego area, and her second husband was Colonel Baker. And
So she married well.
She married well. She also had her family was very wealthy, so she had land and money originally from her father, and then when she married again, her husband had bought the rights to the rancho here in Santa Monica, and so her and her husband helped found the city. So together they did things like the lot sale that we talked about earlier. She donated the land for what was originally known as Linda Vista Park, which we now know as Palisades Park.
Which is our crown jewel and has the Recreation and Parks chair of the commission for the last 13, 14 years. I love Palisades Park.
So that was her gift to the city of Santa Monica, and she lived in a small, modest house just on the opposite side of the park, what is now Ocean Avenue, for most of her life. So even though she was a very wealthy woman, she did kind of live in this very normal way in the city, you know, not in a big city, but right here in Santa Monica, enjoying it like the rest of us do.
So Santa Monica has one of the signs over here that says Paradise by the Sea. It was founded as a beachfront resort city. My mother went to school in Santa Monica, and she probably used a desk a little bit like this when she was a little kid at the Jefferson Elementary School, which would have been on the north side of this building. You know, we talked a little bit about Edgemar Dairy on one of our earlier episodes of Brock and Your Block, But here we have some Edgemar bottles. We look at pictures of the dairy. Herman Michael was a Swiss dairy farmer who came to Santa Monica. And he was, I believe, Santa Monica's first mayor. His son, Jack Michael, was one of the directors of the Boys Club. I worked there and I also coached there. And I coached two of his sons in biddy basketball and flag football at the Boys Club. Now, the Edgemar Dairy used to be on Main Street, the egg processing plant. And, of course, Coach John Wooden from UCLA used to be an egg candler there in the summers. Do you know what an egg candler is?
Right. This is a really interesting story. The egg candler, you actually just told it to me off camera a few minutes ago. So
you're giving me away.
But egg candling is an old process. You actually use a candle to look into an egg and see if it is an egg or if it's a baby chicken.
And that's true. Thank you. You were a good student. But, you know, Edgemar Dairy used to drive around every day. Their trucks delivered milk all over Santa Monica. And in school, we had Edgemar milk in our mornings with our snacks and our lunch.
That's really great. We get a lot of visitors who come in and tell us very similar stories, that they remember the delivery man coming to their house or to school. It's very ingrained. If you are local, you know, Santa Monica native, a lot of people have some great memories about Edgemar.
And Edgemar was a wonderful dairy. My family couldn't afford to get our milk from the dairy. We didn't get delivery milk. We bought ours at the supermarket.
Just like we do now.
Yes. Yes, we were ahead of our times. And over here, just a quick note, you have a whole exhibit about our hometown newspaper, the over 100-year-old Santa Monica Evening Outlook. I grew up on the Outlook. All Santa Monica residents grew up on this great newspaper. And, of course, I have a story. I delivered the newspaper twice, once as a paper boy, and then the second time I did a car route from Pacific Palisades to the end of Malibu every afternoon with a person who later became lieutenant of detectives in Santa Monica.
So Outlook was founded in the same year as the city, 1875, and lasted until 1998. And when the newspaper went out of business, they donated all of their archives, photos, research files, everything to the museum. So we have a great exhibit here. One of the fun things about the exhibit is this interactive component where you use this computer, it takes a picture of your face, you type in your name, and it puts you in the cover of an Outlook newspaper story. Kids love it, adults love it, everyone loves it. It's a
Wait a minute, I want to do that.
We can do it. We can do it now.
Now that was the reason for me to come to the museum today.
There you go.
You know, there are always some people in each city who are so valuable to a city, yet they may just be volunteers. And Bob Gabriel was a former city council person in our city. His wife took on founding the Santa Monica Historical Society, and she became a huge believer in preserving Santa Monica history. And Louise is a fantastic person who spent decades honoring and collecting our history.
Yes, the museum grew, well, the Historical Society grew out of the Historical Activities Committee of the 1975 City Centennial. And so they formed the Historical Society to collect and preserve the history of the city. And Louise was one of the very important and very active actors in that. And through her and Bob's dedication and hard work and perseverance, the Historical Society grew into the History Museum in the late 1980s. And so Louise is still here. She's still our museum president. She's here every week working, making sure that we're still protecting the history of the city going forward.
I was at the Centennial celebration. I've got my Centennial coin. You know, it's great to have a museum that honors the 141 years of our history. Her daughter, Susan Gabriel Potter, is very active in this museum as well.
She is. She's our one of our board members, and so the museum has been here for 40 years so far, and we're hoping to make it at least another 40. So thank you for helping to shine a light on the museum and all the great work that we do here.
The Santa Monica History Museum does such a wonderful job of talking about the history of Santa Monica and touching on all the great places in our city. I've had a great time today talking with Kathryn about the history of Santa Monica, about the History Museum. If you haven't been here, you need to take a few hours and come to the Santa Monica History Museum. And you're open what days?
We're open Tuesday and Thursday, noon to 8 p.m., and Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we're doing a special promotion in honor of the anniversary of the city. Admission for the rest of the month of July is just 50 cents, the equivalent of what it would have cost you to see the museum in 1875.
That's pretty cool. And I will tell you that it brings back memories for me. This wonderful mural used to be in the Santa Monica Evening Outlook's office. This was a great visit to the Santa Monica History Museum. Join us again next week as Brock and Your Block takes a second look at the Santa Monica History Museum.
Escape to bliss and restore the calm at L'Amerigo Spa at JW Marriott, Santa Monica. Enjoy a facial, massage, or full-body treatment in an unparalleled atmosphere of peaceful tranquility. Book your appointment today.